Hey everyone, welcome to today's tutorial. Today we are going to be working with the collection from my mind's eye called One Fine Day. We are also going to be needing 4 pieces of cardstock. So we are going to go with 2 sheets of Dark Seas, which is like this blue color, and then 2 sheets of Berry Sensation, which is that pink color. So we're going to be making 2 double page layouts, so 4 pages total. We're also going to be using the enamel dots, the sticker sheet, and this they're die cuts. In this there's a button, there's also some like twine and some clear pieces as well. Okay, so there's only 6 sheets of pattern paper. So I've actually improvised this cutting guide because we typically need 7 sheets of pattern paper, 4 for backgrounds and 3 as accent papers, but we're going to eliminate an accent paper today and just hopefully we can get by without it. So we are going to need 2 accent papers that are going to be spread out on all 4 sheets, or all 4 pages, sorry, and then we are going to have 4 background pages. So typically for a double layout, we want matching side-by-side backgrounds, but we're not going to get it with this kit, so we're going to have to improvise. So my first accent paper is going to be this paper with the writing on it. I think it works well with all the rest of the papers, and I like both sides of it. Same thing with this paper here, this sort of lime green kind of a color. It has a really busy pattern on it. I think it really is, in real life, it stands out even more than it shows on camera. And then the back side of that paper is actually this blue floral print, and so that's going to be my second accent paper just because it's bold, it stands out on everything else, and it looks good on both sides, so I'm going to have more options later. Okay, and then the last 4 pages, those are going to be my background, so I'm going to have to make them work. And then after we cut them, we can kind of go through and decide which ones we like side by side the best. I mean, we really have no choice but to use them. So we can improvise with them later on when we're assembling our pages. Let's go ahead and we'll get started. We have cutting diagrams in my tutorial videos, and I just kind of want to let you know how to read them. So there's the number in top in inches, and that's going to be the size that we're going to cut that cut piece into. And there's a number below it in a circle. So a lot of the times we're making 4 pages or 6 pages when we're using these cutting diagrams, and all these cut pieces can sort of get very disorganized. So that number inside of the circle there represents a pile that you're going to put that cut piece into. So for a 4-page tutorial, we're going to make 4 piles. And for a 6-page tutorial, we're going to make 6 piles. So the numbers are going to be either 1 through 4 or 1 through 6. So page 1 is going to have all the cut pieces that have a circle with the number 1 inside. And so on for the 4 or 6 pages. So now we're going to go ahead and take all pieces of our cardstock, and we are going to cut 1 inch in, 1 inch from the top, and 1 inch from the bottom. And we're going to make a straight line on all 4 sides of each of these pieces of cardstock. What we're basically doing is cutting a 10 by 10 inch square out of the center of this piece of cardstock. The border is going to be put into our pile, and the center, the 10 by 10 inch center, is going to be put to the side, and we're going to be cutting it with another cutting diagram as soon as we're done cutting out all of these squares. Okay, so Okay, so for our background papers, we are going to be cutting off 0.25 inches on one side and 0.5 inches off on the other side. The reason why we're offsetting it is because we want the insides of our double layouts to be touching the edges so that they look like they're connected. When your paper goes through the cutter in the same direction that it would be on your layout, that's the side that you want to cut 0.25 inches off on. So when your page is sideways through the cutter, you actually want to cut 0.5 inches off on that side. Okay. Okay, so for our next set of pages here, I have this sort of teal colored paper, and I actually switched sides. So I decided that I liked this lime green kind of style much better, which meant though that I had to flip over that accent paper and use the floral side of it so that it didn't blend in with the background so much. Which then created a conflict with my cardstock blending in too much to that accent paper. But what I did to improvise is I decided to matte this blue cardstock. So I ended up matting that 3x4 photo mat and also that horizontal 4x6 photo mat on the other page. So I just took a spare sheet of white cardstock and I cut it at a 3.75 by 4.75. And then I stuck my blue cardstock onto that. And then I also did that on this other blue paper just to, because it did stand out on that background, but I just wanted to matte this piece of cardstock as well, just to create some unity on the two pages and make it look like they work together a little bit better. So I pulled out my other cutter. My other cutter only measures from 6 inches I mean, the cutter blade itself will cut up to like an 8.5 by 11 paper, but the width of it only cuts 6 inches. So I needed 6.75 inches by 4.75 inches for that other mat. And here I'm just using the ruler just to help like line things up and make sure that they're a little bit more straight. I didn't used to do this, but I find that with the double layouts, it makes it a little bit easier to measure them, just because everything has to sort of line up in the center, and it just makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so this page also typically had a 6-inch wide by 12 inches long piece of accent paper that went right across sort of the whole, right across the background on both pages, right across from one end to the other. But we only had 6 pattern papers that came in this collection, so we had no choice but to eliminate one of our papers. I did consider like coming up with a whole new cutting guide, but I really struggled creatively this week, and I just wasn't able to come up with anything that felt right. So I improvised this cutting guide by eliminating that 6-inch wide by 12-inch accent paper. I don't feel like we really notice that it's missing. It's definitely a little bit plainer, but we can use some of the accents to help us with that. Okay, so now that I'm done and putting all the embellishments on the table, we didn't have any journaling cards this time. So what I did is I went ahead and printed off a journaling card that I would normally make as a journaling area when I'm printing them off on the computer. So it's similar to the journaling card I made back when I did my pocket pages. So I make just 2 borders, and then I put my journaling inside. I didn't end up putting the actual journaling I'm going to do on this page just for privacy reasons and for the video. So I will go ahead and replace that journaling card with the real one once I put pictures on. But for the sake of the video, I just kind of printed off a journaling card to show you guys what it would look like. So here, I'm also showing you guys how I would just print out strip journaling. So I would, on my word processor, I have Mac computers, so I use Pages. I do separate text boxes, and I just space them out far apart on my page so that when I go to print them, I have the room it takes to take my cutter and trim these. I don't worry about cutting them straight. Sometimes it looks better when one side is a little bit narrower than the other, and then I usually trim them down. Now, when I do these strip journaling pieces, when I'm printing them, I try, and like here, I made sort of 5 that all look the same. But when I'm printing them in my word processor, I'll try and make some really long lines and then some short lines, so that when you are going to put those strip journaling on your page, they don't all look like the same length and the same. I like it when there's some short pieces, some long pieces, so that's something to keep in mind too. So that's just another journaling idea that I decided that, maybe I'll show you as an example that I'll use on the other page once we're doing the other page. So here we had this clear element with the pink design on it, and I found that it got lost on the other page, so I wanted to use that circle on that lime green page just because it would show up a little bit more. And I'm just using that journaling card as a base for that cluster on that other page. And here I'm putting these circles down. I decided to kind of keep going with the whole circle concept and try and use the circles to tie in some of the elements. And underneath this 4x6 photo area that has the pink mat there and above those circles, that's where I'm going to put a titling. So my ideas for these these layouts was like a sleepover that my daughter was having. So for me, that's going to be, I don't know, for my titling, I might do something about like a slumber party. I'm not really 100% sure what I want to do for titling there, but my titling will be definitely like, probably like a 5-letter word or so. It can't be a really long word. And I'll probably use like thickers or like some kind of die cut pieces that are like 2 inches tall or so is what I'm thinking. And here I'm just using my enamel dots, those yellow enamel dots over by that 3x4 photo on that other page. And I'm just trying to tie in some of those elements together there with the enamel dots. And as you can see with those lime green enamel dots, I sort of created a triangle with them, but the 2 bottom enamel dots still sort of framed in that flower and that titling that says "Yay for today." It was a way of sort of finishing off those 2 little elements, but yet tying in that upper area. That upper area with that enamel dot is not yet finished. I still need to add a little bit more there. So here above that that circle, that clear circle piece, I'm just kind of clustering around that. So I'm finishing this off with more enamel dots over here. I did tuck in that tag and then popped up that word that says celebrate. And I just finished off that cluster there with the enamel dots. And now I'm just sort of playing around. I knew I wanted to incorporate this lime green heart because I feel like it ties in the color from the other page really nicely. I wasn't sure if I really wanted to use the word love you because it is sort of just like a sleepover kind of a page. And I mean, I'm sure they love each other, but it's just, you know, a bunch of friends and stuff. And I'm not, but I thought it, you know, I thought it still worked. So if it's something that isn't going to work, I can always take it off later. So I'll let my daughter decide that. If she doesn't feel comfortable with the word love you there, we'll just put something else there. So here I'm just like, again, this is just for the sake of the video. So I'm just tacking it on really lightly. I'm going to go in with the actual journaling. When I go to put my pictures on, I'm just showing you where I would put them just for now. Okay, so I'm taking that journaling area and I might have a few more lines actually when I go to do it. So I'm not going to put like a ton of stuff on the bottom of there, but I did sort of frame it in with those 2 flowers and I just decided to incorporate that minty green kind of a color. And then that lime green, I really feel like it jumps out at me. And we only have one border of it, so I decided to incorporate that same color with that ribbon that says yay on it at the top of that 4x6 photo area. Okay, so there was a kind of a blank area, and so I figured I'd take the opportunity and create another photo area. So I added this 3x4 photo area, and I'm going to just kind of cluster around that. So I adhered directly to the page that pink tag, and then I popped up on top of it that banner piece that says let's party. And I know that it's really shiny, you can't really see that arrow that's pointing to the 3x4 photo, but it just says that. So there's 2 arrows that are going to be on this layout, one that says this, and that's pointed at the 4x6 photo, and then there's a shiny piece arrow that says that. So this and that, I just thought it'd be kind of fun to do on this page. They were just kind of hanging out, not doing anything overly important. They were just having fun like kids do. So here I'm just kind of finishing things off with more of these flowers. And I'm wanting to incorporate that lime green color again at the top of the page. So I used that lime green color with that arrow pointing down to that 3x4 photo area. So now I have this little element. It's shiny. It's like a foil piece, and it says think positive. And I didn't really like it in the top here, so I ended up putting it down here. I adhered it directly sort of underneath this pink flower at the bottom of that 4x6 photo area. And I thought it needed a little bit more there, so I took this other little teal flower and I adhered it directly to that pink cardstock base. And I'm just finishing off things, adding things here and there. Now I'm going to pull out the enamel dots and use the enamel dots just to create a little bit more pop on the page, tie some of these elements a little bit more together, and finish off some of these clusters. So I had a lot of enamel dots left, so I kind of went crazy. So yeah, that's how I kind of finished things off. So as for next Friday's video, actually I won't have a video next Friday. We are going to visit some family. We are going to be traveling to go visit my husband's sister and her family. So we are going to be gone part of next week. So I won't have time to get a video done. But we will see you the Friday after that. So I hope everyone has a great weekend and talk soon. Thank you so much for watching.